7 Miraculous Signs Revealed. Are you resisting divine purpose and ignoring prophesied deliverance? Eleanor stood at the foot of her garden, surrounded by the verdant hills that cradled her village in their gentle embrace. She felt as if a great weight pressed down on her spirit, for her oldest son, Matthew, lay bedridden with an illness that the finest doctors could not touch. The air around her was heavy, thick with despair. Yet, through the dim veil of her worry, a focus began to shimmer like morning dew. Last night, she dreamt of a sanctuary Saint Agnes awaited her. In her sleep, she saw 7 miraculous signs, each more radiant than the last. The first was a blinding light that danced above the chapel, illuminating the faces of the faithful. It was so bright it made her squint. The second was a whispering breeze gentle yet firm that sang hymns of hope through the trees, refreshing the weary souls who listened. The third sign was a swarm of butterflies, vibrant and alive, flitting joyfully in and out between the villagers, embodying the freedom of divine promise. In the dream, she witnessed the fourth sign, tears of joy streaming down the faces of the faithful as flowers bloomed in an instant, each blossom like a tiny prayer answered. The air filled with a sweet aroma, drifting like a comforting embrace around her heart. Then came the fifth, a chorus of angels mingling with the congregation's praises, their melodious voices rising higher and higher, filling the skies with uncontainable joy. The sixth sign unfolded like an unrolling scroll, where each word written glimmered with dust from the heavens, signaling a profound message of hope. Lastly, the seventh sign struck her heart with magnificent clarity. An extraordinary wave of love emanated from the sanctuary, uniting each villager in bonds of faith. Awakened by the vividness of her visions, Eleanor's heart raced, pumping with purpose. She hurried to the chapel, gathering villagers to relay her dream, her voice trembling with both trepidation and excitement. Join me, dear ones. We must seek Saint Agnes, for 7 signs of divine deliverance await us. Yet, doubt marred her intentions. Dreams can deceive, muttered old Mr. Tyler, skeptically shaking his head. What's next? Chasing fantasies? Others murmured their unease, dismissing her fervor. Faces hardened, hearts locked. Before long, Eleanor realized doubt brewed thickly among her community, and so she organized a prayer vigil, inviting all to share in her vision of hope. The night was shrouded in uncertainty, flickering candles illuminating faces turned towards heaven. Yet laughter echoed through the ceremonies, swinging back gears of faith that had rusted with despair. Then, amidst their prayers, a storm brewed. Fierce winds whipped through the village, tearing at homes, hope, and faith. The cries of alarm twisted through the night air, and as the congregation labored to salvage what they could, Eleanor found herself crushed by both the storm outside and the storm of faith within. During the vigil, she battled her inner turmoil. Would their prayers go unanswered? But there, in the flickering candlelight and hushed whispers, something ignited. She sensed a stirring, a divine pulse. Her heart swelled, tears brimmed as an unexpected warmth enveloped her. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just when despair loomed largest, the ground trembled, and a soft light pierced through the storm, draping the village in shimmering grace. Hearts hushed in awe, breaths caught as the promises of her prophetic dream began to unfold right before their eyes. Miracles hovered above them just like she had envisioned, but they faced a question: were they finally ready to embrace the divine potential laid before them, or would they let their fears hold them captive? The chatter around them grew anxious, as light danced through the air. Eleanor remained steadfast, knowing that something far greater than mere reality was trying to break through. Would they accept it? Would they surrender to the love that awaited them? As the miracle rippled out, the village braced for awakening. The storm raged outside, but within the chapel's walls, a different kind of wind began to blow, a rush of faith awakening hearts long befuddled by doubt. Eleanor clutched the wooden pew, her fingers trembling as she sought strength in prayer. Eyes closed, she felt the warmth of the light engulf her. It was as if the very essence of heaven was wrapping around the villagers, urging them to release their fears. Trust in the signs. She implored, her voice trembling yet powerful, resonating against the stone walls. We are not alone. A murmur rippled through the crowd, quieting the anxious whispers. Slowly, a flicker of hope ignited in the eyes of the congregation. Perhaps, just perhaps, there was truth in her vision. The light danced higher, illuminating the sanctuary with a golden hue, casting shadows that seemed to sway like living beings. A gentle breeze whispered through the chapel's open windows, carrying the scent of blooming flowers, vibrant and alive. With every breath, the villagers felt a deep, abiding peace washing over them like a gentle tide. Suddenly, a soft sound, a child's giggle broke through the reverent silence. Little Clara, with her golden curls and wide, innocent eyes, stood near the altar, pointing excitedly. Look! She cried. The butterflies! They're here! Heads turned, and gasps filled the air. Indeed, a flurry of butterflies, painted in vivid colors, fluttered above their heads. They seemed to dance to an unseen melody, flitting gracefully between the worshippers, a sign of joy and transformation, a tangible reminder of freedom. Laughter erupted, mingling with tears as hope broke through the clouds of despair. Eleanor stepped forward, her own tears a testament to the sweeping emotions. This, she exclaimed, this is the promise we've been seeking. The first sign is upon us. How can we deny it? The congregation began to stir, hearts and minds opening as Eleanor's fervor fueled a new flame within them. The sound of a gentle rain started to patter against the chapel's roof, a sweet, melodic tune that felt like a heartbeat of the divine. Each drop felt like a blessing, an affirmation of faith. Let us pray together. She shouted, her voice rising above the storm's howl. She guided the villagers in a powerful prayer, a chorus of hopes, dreams, and desires rising as one towards the heavens. The rain soon fell harder, yet it filled them with a sense of cleansing, washing away the lingering fears like dust on a summer day. In that moment, Eleanor witnessed something beautiful. One by one, villagers began to close their eyes and lean into the light, surrendering their worries. Old Mr. Tyler, once the greatest skeptic, raised his hands in hesitant surrender, his heart thawing, eyes glistening with tears that spoke of newfound hope. It was a soft but undeniable movement of faith taking root. Suddenly, as if prompted by the intensity of prayer, the air crackled with energy. A voice, the deep, resonating timbre of a man, echoed within the chapel, "Do not be afraid. For I am with you." It washed over them, a blanket of comfort feeding their newfound faith. Eleanor's heart swelled, realizing that they were teetering on the edge of profound change, yet she could feel an even greater moment waiting. As the light pulsed brighter, she sensed it drawing near, a deeper revelation waiting just beyond their trust. But was faith enough? Would they hold on to it tightly, even when life's storms surged? Or would doubts claw back, threatening to shatter the bonds forming among them? With hope hanging in the air, Eleanor braced herself as the golden light began to swirl, revealing something wonderful. The very essence of their prayers, woven through the storm, was preparing to unveil a miracle that none could have anticipated. What awaited them on the other side of their surrender? Eleanor felt a current of energy pulse through the air, as if the chapel itself was alive with possibility. The golden light now shimmered around the butterflies, their vibrant colors blending together, casting a kaleidoscope of hues against the weathered stone. It was both mesmerizing and humbling, a divine symphony of faith and promise. "Do you see?" she urged the congregation, her voice filled with newfound fervor. "God is here. Right among us. The butterflies are his messengers, bringing joy and transformation. They are reminders that change is upon us." The villagers, hearts racing with excitement, began to nod in agreement. Behind them, the storm roared louder, but here, inside these sacred walls, hope blossomed like never before. It was not just the children who were captivated now, even the elders leaned closer, their faces illuminated by faith's glow. Tyler, wiping his tears, chuckled softly, I never thought I'd see a thing like this in my lifetime. Who would have thought butterflies could bring about such a change in heart? Something profound stirred within every soul present, lifting them higher, reaching for a truth they almost dared not recognize. Clara twirled under the fluttering butterflies, laughter spilling from her lips like a melody sent from heaven. Her innocence sparked memories in others the last time they felt pure joy, the last time they truly believed. Let us not let this be merely a moment. Eleanor called out, her heart pounding. Let us build upon this faith. If we lean into what we are given, surely, we will see the miracles he promised. One by one, hands began to rise. Elizabeth, with her kind smile, grasped her son's hand, raising it high as if reaching for the very fingertips of eternity. We shall lift our doubts and place our faith in his hands. She proclaimed, her voice rich with courage. The butterflies swirled faster, as if responding to their collective yearning. Each villager began lifting spoken prayers, simple utterances of hope mingling together to create a tapestry of faith. Healing, one cried. Deliverance, shouted another. Peace for our homes. Reverberated another plead. As the chorus of prayers rose higher, the butterflies seemed to stretch beyond the confines of the chapel, weaving through the rain-slicked air. Eleanor felt a shift, a warmth blossoming in her chest, an invitation to believe with every fiber of her being. And just as she thought the energy could not expand further, the air crackled again, louder, enveloping them in an embrace of divine presence. Then, it happened. The golden light began to pulse in rhythm with their combined voices, each heartbeat punching through the storm, each cry cascading like water over stones. In that moment, a hush blanketed the room, as though the very fabric of reality had paused to witness the faith igniting within them. What is happening? A voice echoed from the back, filled with awe, as the few folks who had remained doubtful now stood on the brink of belief. Eyes widened, breaths held. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the radiance at the altar, radiant and pure, bathed in light as if sent straight from heaven itself. Faces turned, hearts skipped, and a wave of understanding rippled within the congregation. Could it be? Eleanor's heart raced. Was this the miracle they'd been yearning for? A divine answer to their cries? The light expanded, and she realized this was not just about witnessing change, it was about embracing the unknown. With faith igniting like wildfire, she felt each heartbeat share a common refrain: what does he desire of us next? All eyes turned to the bright figure, teetering on the edge of revelation. What transformation awaited them in the embrace of light and surrender? As the air thickened with expectation, a single question slipped into their hearts: would they trust in the unfolding journey ahead? The glowing figure stepped closer, each movement graceful as if choreographed by a divine hand. The villagers held their breath, entranced. Eleanor's heart swelled. It was as if every prayer offered had accumulated in that very moment, forming a bridge between heaven and earth. Fear not, the radiant being spoke, and their voice resonated like a soft melody. You have been gathering in faith, and your hearts have drawn forth the light of heaven. Tears brimmed in Eleanor's eyes. What do you ask of us? She whispered, yearning to understand what was to unfold. Together, you must embrace the transformation that is coming, the figure replied, their face shining with a warmth that seeped deep into the villagers' souls. Each of you holds a piece of the puzzle. Will you offer your talents and love for the greater good? The air crackled again, charged with a sense of purpose. The congregation shifted. Eleanor caught glimpses of understanding washing over her neighbors. Their faces mirrored her own wonder mixed with determination. The unseen storm raged on outside, yet inside, the atmosphere was unmistakably serene, as if the very essence of the chapel were wrapping around them, shielding them from doubt and despair. It was a sacred invitation, one they could not ignore. Do not underestimate the power of your united strength, the figure continued. In your community lies the power to reshape your destinies. From the ashes of hardship, you will build a new legacy founded on love, courage, and unwavering faith. A murmur swept through the villagers, a wave of excitement mingling with hesitation. Mr. Tyler stepped forward, his voice shaking yet filled with conviction. What if we fail? What if we can't measure up? There is no failure in love, the being said gently. Every effort, every heart exposed will shine through the darkness. Trust in his promise, and you will soar like the butterflies. Eleanor felt her spirit leap at the words. So we must take this leap of faith, she declared, her voice firm now. We must reach out to one another and lift each other up. The butterflies showed us the beauty of transformation together, we can share our gifts. Yes. Clara exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. We can start today. We can help those in need, nurture the fallen, and heal the broken. Every act of kindness magnified, the light responded, its luminosity brightening. For love is the key that unlocks doors, the balm that heals wounds. Eleanor watched as members of the congregation began to nod, some even whispering ideas of service and community outreach. The butterflies above them danced in erratic joy, spiraling around the golden light, a visual representation of hope taking flight. As the figure lifted a hand, a blessing seemed to flow over them, wrapping the chapel in warmth. You are being called, each one of you. Respond with an open heart and watch how heaven will deliver upon its promise. With that, the figure began to recede, shimmering gently like the sunset. The villagers called out, their voices rising in a collective plea, do not leave us. Fear not. This journey begins not just with me, but with all of you, the luminous figure replied as they faded. Be the messengers, be the light. Embrace the moments that will come. Silence fell once more, deep and contemplative. Eleanor felt a sense of profound calm mixed with excitement. The foundations of change trembled just below the surface, waiting to be unearthed. Then, as the butterflies fluttered dramatically in one last flourish, she wondered silently what would be required of them. What challenges awaited in their promised transformation? In the air, an unspoken truth lingered, as Eleanor's heart whispered, would they rise to meet this heavenly call? Eleanor stood amidst the tranquil silence that draped over the chapel, her heart a mix of hope and anticipation. The words of the glowing figure echoed in her mind, a flowing stream of purpose beckoning her forward. The villagers lingered, still awash in the memory of that radiant presence. A shared resolve began to blossom, delicate yet profound. Let us not waste this moment, Clara encouraged, her voice a gentle nudge, like a breeze rustling through the leaves. We need to act, not just speak. Eleanor glanced around the room, noting the eager faces, the clenching fists that signaled determination, and the quiet tears of a few. Hope had ignited a spark in their souls, kindling an unquenchable flame. As Mr. Tyler cleared his throat, Eleanor found herself drawn to him, sensing his inner turmoil. We can't just sit here, he said, each word thoughtfully pushed through trembling lips. What do we do next? Eleanor felt an overwhelming urge to guide them. Let us form small teams. We can visit those who are suffering, offer kindness and assistance. We'll gather food, clothing, anything we can share. Several voices chimed in. I can cook. I can drive to deliver. I have friends who might help. Excitement wove through the air, as it crystallized into plans, their voices raised in enthusiasm, but Eleanor's heart sank momentarily. It struck her that not everyone would be quick to embrace change. Strikingly vivid images of past failures flickered through her mind. What if the storm outside mirrored the storms of doubt inside? She knew they were venturing into uncharted territory, and uncertainty could unravel their unity. Remember, we're not alone, and we won't be perfect, she reassured. It's in the trying, in the loving, that greatness will unfold. Every act, no matter how small, can ripple outwards. The chapel felt alive, the energy pulsating, as they paired off into groups. Eleanor stepped forward, her heart a blend of courage and trepidation. She felt spiritually charged, embraced by the warmth of the chapel's essence. Yes, their mission was to be the light, to cast away shadows of despair. As the villagers set their intentions, Eleanor saw Mr. Tyler hesitating at the back. She approached him. You're not alone in this. If fear rises, let us face it together. I want to help, he confessed, vulnerability etched across his face. But what if I falter? What if this is all futile? Eleanor placed a hand on his shoulder, grounding him. With love, there is no faltering. Growth lies in stepping forward. Faith is about believing, even when the path is unclear. His eyes brightened, just a flicker of hope beginning to ignite. As they prepared to leave, the storm outside transformed from a rumbling growl to soft, gentle rain. It felt like a blessing from the heavens, washing over them, cleansing doubt and fear. The butterflies had settled, their wings glistening with newfound understanding, a testament to the changes that lay ahead. Keep your hearts open. Eleanor urged as they stepped outside, where the rain felt refreshing. They scattered into the community, buoyed by purpose, held in divine embrace, but as they ventured into the world, the question loomed ahead. Would their spark sustain in the face of challenges? Eleanor's spirit trembled with the question whispered within: if doubt rises, can faith truly conquer? Eleanor stepped out into the rain, feeling the cool droplets dance on her skin. Each bead was a moment, a drop of hope, washing away the anxieties that clung to her heart. She watched as villagers dispersed, their laughter mingling with the tapping of rain on rooftops. The storm had given way to a gentle embrace, just like their collective resolve. Holding on to the warmth of her previous thoughts, Eleanor made her way through the winding streets. Villagers had begun to form small pockets of interactions, either wrapping their arms around neighbors or preparing supplies. She felt an undeniable connection to them all, each person a thread woven into a greater fabric of change. She approached a small cottage, its windows fogged from the warmth of a hearth within. Knocking lightly, she was greeted by Mrs. Green, frail yet spirited, who looked surprised to see a familiar face. "Oh, my dear Eleanor. What brings you here?" Mrs. Green's wrinkled hands clutched her shawl, her smile fierce against the chill. "We're here to help, Mrs. Green. Can we come in? There are things we can do together." Eleanor's voice was a song of assurance woven with sincerity. Mrs. Green hesitated for a heartbeat, her eyes clouding with worry. "My dear, I appreciate the thought, but I have nothing to spare. How can I help you?" Eleanor stepped closer, her heart aching for those who felt alone. "Sometimes the greatest help is allowing others to walk with us. We believe in sharing love, not just items. You are needed, and your wisdom is a treasure." The old woman's face softened, glimmers of faith igniting within her. Slowly, she opened the door wider. "Come in, then. We can figure this out together." Inside, they set to work, crafting meals from Mrs. Green's meager pantry. While chopping vegetables, Eleanor listened to stories of the past, parables of hope and despair that shaped their community. The old lady's tales were colorful brushstrokes on the canvas of Eleanor's mind, painting a rich history of endurance and faith. Meanwhile, outside, other villagers were discovering similar treasures in their shared moments. Clara was providing a warm meal for the elderly, while young children weaved flower garlands for those who would visit the local care center. Laughter erupted as playful banter crossed between neighbors, creating bonds that had long awaited revival, but not everyone shared the same enthusiasm. Eleanor caught sight of Mr. Tyler gathering firewood by himself, shadowed by doubt. She approached him, sensing the heaviness that still lingered. "Hey, you're not supposed to be by yourself. What's holding you back?" she asked gently. "I just don't feel like I'm doing enough," he muttered, frustration hidden beneath his calm facade. Eleanor smiled, easy and soft. "Sometimes what matters most isn't what we do, but how much love we share in the doing. Every piece adds to the whole. You're enough, just as you are. Trust that." His expression shifted. It was the hope of a flickering flame, now catching fire. "You really think so?" "I know so," she affirmed, feeling invigorated next to him. A sense of trust swelled between them, a gentle light illuminating spaces where doubt had once dwelled. As the sun began to peek through the dissipating clouds, its rays beamed warmly across the village. Eleanor felt that unmistakable stirring of divine presence, a gentle reminder that they were not just participants in this mission but vessels of love. But as they prepared to tackle bigger needs, uncertainty tugged at Eleanor. How would they sustain this momentum? She paused, looking around at their collective efforts, yet gripping the lingering question in her heart. If love can conquer all, what sacrifices will it demand from them? The air was heavy with the scent of freshly cut wood and the fading rain. Eleanor took in the sights around her, the villagers' smiles reflecting the sun's rays as they resumed their tasks. There was a vibrancy in their movements, an unspoken bond that nestled in the heart of each individual. The truth of their efforts echoed within Eleanor. The sacrifices would not be easy, but they would be illuminating. She turned back to Mr. Tyler, now resting the firewood against a tree. What if, she suggested, we gather everyone here, right now? Share what we have, share our stories. Community is not just about giving, it's about embracing each other in our needs. Mr. Tyler seemed to ponder this, his brow furrowing in thought. It was as if he weighed her words like precious stones, finding the worth in each. Finally, he nodded slowly. Yes, let us do it. Let us bring them together. Eleanor felt a surge of excitement as they moved through the village. Word spread like wildfire, igniting spirits and drawing neighbors from their routines. Laughter and warm chatter floated through the air as they gathered, the spirit of unity reinvigorating their hearts. As the group settled on a grassy knoll, Eleanor stood before them, a humble smile brightening her face. Look at us. The beauty of this moment is woven through our shared faith and purpose. It's time to celebrate what we can do together. Who wants to share first? A silence fell over the crowd, a moment to breathe in the space of vulnerability. Then, Clara stepped forward, her hands trembling but her voice strong. I was afraid of stepping forward alone. But seeing you all here gives me hope. Together, there is nothing we cannot face. Encouragement flowed through the crowd. One by one, they began to speak. Old memories surfaced, woven with new dreams. The stories unfurled like banners in the wind, each unique yet intertwined. Each sharing became a small act of sacrifice, a moment of surrender to love that flowed freely among them. As the sun set, casting warm golden tones across their faces, Eleanor felt a stirring in her heart. Never had she felt the presence of the divine so profoundly. In those moments, hope wasn't confined to thoughts, it danced around them, a tangible energy binding them tightly, but even as joy filled the air, shadows lingered at the edges. Some villagers wore expressions of concern. Eleanor noticed Mrs. Green clutching her shawl tightly, her eyes darting away from the crowd, clouded with a storm of uncertainty. What is it, Mrs. Green? Eleanor asked, stepping closer. Your spirit shines, but I can see a shadow lurking. With a deep breath, Mrs. Green whispered, I worry that our small offerings will never be enough. Can love truly fill the gaps in our needs? Eleanor reached out and cupped the older woman's face gently. Dear Mrs. Green, each act of love is a seed. The more we nurture one another, the greater our harvest will be. Faith is our soil, and we will reap what we've sown. Mrs. Green's eyes glimmered with a hint of hope. It was a small change, but like a flicker in a darkened room, it found its place. As laughter echoed and the embers of the gathering warmed their spirits, Eleanor sensed that this was only the beginning. Each shared moment strengthened their ties to one another and to something far greater, but deep inside her, the question persisted what divine plan might yet unfold as they stepped deeper into their faith. As the last evening light faded into the horizon, the villagers lingered, wrapped in a warm blanket of unity. The soft hum of conversation surrounded Eleanor, blending with the distant sound of water flowing in the brook nearby. She felt an indescribable connection, a thin veil separating her from the divine weave of health, hope, and heart. Doesn't it feel different? Eleanor asked, scanning the faces in the crowd. We're not just sharing stories, we're creating a tapestry of faith. Amidst the joyful murmur, Mr. Tyler stepped closer. But what happens when the dawn breaks? Will we return to our routines, forgetting this moment? His brow was furrowed, a shadow creeping back into his expression. Eleanor placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. Faith isn't a one-time gathering, it's a commitment to keep this fire burning. It's in our actions, every single day. Just then, Samuel, a younger villager, stood up with a glint of resolve in his eyes. I know I'm new to all of this, but I want to contribute. He took a quick breath, gathering courage. Every night, I see my mother sitting alone, staring at our empty pantry. I can't let her face tomorrow by herself. I wish to help the elderly who need food and care. They taught us, didn't they? Love is in the giving. The crowd erupted into agreement. Yes, Samuel. You will not face it alone. Clara chimed in, guiding the enthusiasm forward. With growing warmth, ideas blossomed, suggestions for community initiatives floated on the air like seeds ready to be sown, encouragement rippled through the gathering, their spirits lifting higher as more voices joined in. Ideas blossomed from hearts eager to help. They began brainstorming ways to support families, pooling together resources from their own homes to ensure no one went bound by their struggles, yet, there remained an undercurrent of worries buried deep within some. Eleanor recognized that just above the surface, the shadows crept back. Perhaps tomorrow will bring more challenges, Mrs. Green murmured under her breath, her shawl still clutched tightly around her shoulders. What if we can't sustain this momentum? Eleanor's heart ached for her. Mrs. Green, let us not measure our worth by harvests yet to come. It's the act of planting that matters now. Every seed we cast builds a future. We cannot see the blooms yet, but faith assures us they will rise. The crowd hushed again, the atmosphere thick with anticipation. There was something special stirring in the air, a divine promise gently urging them forward. Eleanor felt an inexplicable energy, an almost tangible presence, wrapping around them, stirring their hearts. She closed her eyes for a moment, lost in a prayer of gratitude. When she opened them, the villagers were standing united, a circle of hearts illuminated by hope. And as they looked one another in the eye, she saw a profound reflection of something greater than their individual worries, a collective trust in something miraculous unfolding before them. Just as laughter bubbled and intentions were shared, a distant rumble echoed across the valley, a sound that felt both familiar and strange. Heads turned, voices quieted, and a gentle breeze swept through the gathering, carrying with it the scent of earth and a hint of rain. What could that be? Eleanor pondered, sensing a shift in the spiritual atmosphere. The reality of their devotion began to dance with excitement. Perhaps they were on the cusp of witnessing something remarkable. As the last words of encouragement floated high, Eleanor's heart raced with anticipation. What miracle could this evening still hold? The air around the villagers seemed to vibrate with an unspoken energy, a pulse that linked them all together. It was as if the earth itself held its breath, waiting for what was to come next. Eleanor felt the hairs on her arms stand on end. The atmosphere thickened, almost electric, and her heart quickened with both apprehension and hope. What is that noise? Someone whispered, breaking the silence. Eleanor turned towards the direction of the sound, her eyes scanning the horizon where jagged hills kissed the twilight sky. It echoed again, a deep rumble that carried a weight of promise and mystery. Could it be thunder? Clara suggested, her brow furrowed in confusion. Or perhaps something else entirely, Mr. Tyler added, his gaze narrowing as if trying to see beyond the darkness. Eleanor's thoughts spiraled into reverent possibilities. What if it's a sign? She breathed, the notion swelling in her heart. The villagers shifted, sensing the shift to a deeper reflection. Each person absorbed the moment differently, eyes wide, mouths parted in a silent pledge of curiosity that almost resembled prayer. Suddenly, a flash illuminated the night, bright as the sun but fleeting, painting the edges of the clouds in golden hue. Then, a soft, rhythmic sound began to trickle through the valley, akin to a flowing river mingling with a soft melody. It was beautiful and terrifying all at once, pulling at every soul present. Listen, Samuel said, his voice trembling. Do you hear that? It's like a voice. Eleanor placed her hand over her heart, attuned to the nuances in the air. Each note danced with an ethereal quality that resonated deep within her spirit. She could practically feel the pulse of the divine, like a heartbeat reaching out to touch them all. What if it is the Spirit calling us? Another elder voiced, eyes glistening with a mix of astonishment and reverence. The realization settled like honey on their hearts. There was encouragement within the unknown. This moment held a divine invitation. As the villagers stood in a circle, Eleanor took a step forward. This is not just sound, this is our call to action. We are being nudged to rise above fear, above doubt. This is our opportunity to lean into faith and trust the path ahead. She felt the words ignite a fire within everyone around her. Yes. Yes. The villagers echoed with the surge of conviction, their voices weaving together a cosmic harmony, slowly forming a melody of hope against the backdrop of uncertainty. Eleanor could see something shifting, a flicker of belief igniting like the stars themselves aligning above them. Then, as suddenly as it started, the rumbling subsided, leaving a stillness that blanketed the group. Eleanor's breath quickened as she perceived a vision emerging from the depths of her heart, a future where every act of love ignited a beacon in the darkness of despair. Let us not waste this moment. Together, we can become the very hands that heal, the lanterns that light the way. The villagers nodded, their eyes brimming with renewed fervor. The fear that had lingered shifted into purpose, an unshakable resolve wrapping around them like a protective cocoon. They began to form small groups, their laughter lifting into the night, planning how they would reach out to the elderly, provide for those in need, and create a network of support that would ripple through their community. Yet, even in their joy, a flicker of uncertainty lingered. Eleanor sensed a weight in the air, a question unspoken. How could they channel this energy into tangible change? What if we falter? Mr. Tyler ventured again, the shadows returning for a fleeting moment. What if we can't meet every need? Mrs. Green added, her eyes shadowed but curious. Eleanor felt the pressure of the moment. If we hold on to each other tightly and trust in the support of our faith, our community will sustain us. We are stronger together. The miracle begins with our steps forward. As the villagers reaffirmed their commitment and formed small groups to take action, the aroma of promise filled the air, mixing with the upcoming rain. Eleanor stood immersed in the moment, watching the blossoming hope transform her friends. But what challenges awaited them as they stepped into the unknown? Eleanor stood within the chapel, the echo of faith reverberating in her heart. The villagers had embraced the call, igniting a fire that seemed to twinkle with every flickering candle. It was now or never. The transformation she had dreamt about was unfolding right before her eyes. As the congregation sat around her, Eleanor raised her hands. Listen, friends. Each act of kindness, no matter how small, brings a ripple of change through our community. She searched the faces in the room until she met Mr. Tyler's cautious gaze. They had weathered storms together, but this night was different. Hope brewed within him now, but concern still clouded his expression. I wish to believe, he began, his voice steady yet vulnerable. But what if the world outside our sanctuary proves too great? Eleanor felt the tremble of faith within the room. She leaned closer, speaking directly from her heart. Nothing is greater than love, Mr. Tyler. Love can dismantle barriers. We've seen it tonight. Look at the children. Look at the butterflies. They show us that transformation is possible. As she gestured, the colorful wings of butterflies glimmered overhead, clearly visible even in the dim candlelight. With renewed courage, the villagers began to discuss their plans for action, their voices tinged with fervor. Clara offered to lead children in creating gifts for the elderly, while others volunteered to start a food drive. Everyone had visions of caring intermingling within them, stitching hope through communal ties. But up ahead, Eleanor sensed Mrs. Green's trepidation still loomed. What if this energy fades? She whispered, hands still clasped tightly around her shawl. Eleanor turned to her, compassion pooling within her gaze. The energy we feel has roots in love. And love, my dear friends, is evergreen. We must nurture it in every moment. The room filled with soft murmurs, hearts growing warm with her assurance. The hour grew late, but the atmosphere remained electric. Eleanor turned to the window. The storm had retreated, revealing a glimmering night sky. Step into the darkness, my friends. Together, we'll shine brighter than any star. Let us be the message," shouted Samuel, and a wave of applause echoed through the chapel, buoying spirits higher. Enthusiasm flourished, breaking free from every doubt wound tightly around their hearts. Then came a soft sound, drawing attention to the door that swung slightly ajar. A silhouette appeared. It was an older villager carrying a bundle of blankets. Murmurs coursed through the group. "We've come to bring warmth to others," he said, stepping in softly, eyes alight with purpose. "I bring what I can, old blankets from my home. They are not much, but they maintain the spirit." Eleanor's heart swelled. "It is enough. It is everything," she exclaimed, as Mr. Tyler stepped forward, lifting the blankets reverently. Each villager leaned in closer, the warmth of connection cascading around them. "Let us reach out to those in our paths, guided by the very hands of love we offer," Eleanor declared. With tears in her eyes, Eleanor became acutely aware of how the miraculous signs had planted strong roots. As faith rippled through them, she witnessed something beautiful. Each villager, regardless of strength or doubt, played an essential part in moving the hearts of those in need, and just as they gathered, she felt a soft breeze meander through the chapel. It enveloped their hearts in a whisper, filling them with warmth, a divine embrace. Small moments of laughter began to rise again, much like the butterflies' dance. Then, Samuel turned to her, still buzzing with excitement. "Will fear ever leave us?" Eleanor smiled softly, sensing their courage was beginning to break the chains of doubt. "Fear may come and go like clouds, but together we will light the way." As they prepared to leave, a golden ray from a soft moon sliced through the window, illuminating the room with divine warmth. Watching her villagers rise, Eleanor felt gratitude settle deep within her heart. Love was alive in each laugh, each shared story, and every act of kindness. "Tonight, we are not just a village, we are a radiant community," she professed. "When doubt tries to creep back, let us hold tight, like threads woven together, creating strength in unity." With spirits soaring high, they stepped into the night, loving and transforming the very world they lived in. They were no longer bound by fears, but empowered by the trust placed in one another, cradled in the faith that blossomed between them. The stars twinkled brighter as they ventured into the darkness. "Let this be our beginning," Eleanor whispered, her heart echoing in the night. Just then, the light began to dance around them, illuminating their path forward, a radiant confirmation of the miracle they had begun and the journey yet to unfold. This was the moment of divine revelation, a chance for every heart to rise together. And as they walked, knowing the power of their bond, they were on the brink of transformation, ready to embrace the mission ahead. Do not hesitate, dear friends. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others find this message. Comment your reactions and testimonies about the ending. Your words can inspire, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. You need to take action now. Only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Don't wait even one more second.